Rio Grande had many railroad routes back in the old days, but sadly, most of them are gone now and only parts of them remaining as tourist railways. What was special about them were the steam locomotives. They were quite useful and worked hard on the D&RGW narrow gauge from Alamosa to Chama, Farmington, Durango, and Silverton. But sadly, not all of the engines were very lucky and were dismantled. Let's go back in time and see what happened.
Number 1 is the K27 class. These engines were built by Baldwin in April of 1903, were quite small, and were numbers 450 to 464. They were a small workhorse of the design and sometimes would be used as yard shunters and would put trains together. But between 1943 and 1955, almost all of the K27s were scrapped. But luckily, 463 and 464 are restored. 464 works on the Huckleberry Railway and 463 worked on the Cumbers and Toltec Railway, which goes on 65 miles of the Rio Grande narrow gauge between Antonito and Chama. Number 2 is Class K36. You may know that the K36s are all in operation, not scrapped, and only 483 is retired. But some of you may not know that just one K36 was scrapped. Back in 1954, engine 485 was heading out of the shed in Salida, fell off the turntable, and landed on her side. Due to the bad hinges on the side rods and boiler, 485 wasn't saved and was scrapped in February of 1955. Number 3 is the K37. K37s looked like K36s and had the same shape and design, except they have bigger fireboxes, 6 foot shorter tenders, and needed 1,000 more gallons of water. Also, something interesting was that they were built as standard gauge class number 190 in 1902. Between 1925 and 1930, they were rebuilt into narrow gauge and renumbered to class K37. The ones that are scrapped were 490 and 496. 490 was a great hauler for passenger trains and was even filmed on a Rocky Mountain steam trip from Alamosa to Durango in 1955. She was sadly unable to keep running and was scrapped in 1964. 496 was a good hauler for freight and drivers loved her a ton, but she was sadly scrapped in 1956. Or was she? Some reports have been saying that she had been hidden in a barn near Salida. Alert. This may be fake and might just be engine 497. There had been investigation and appears to be the old Chama roundhouse where 497 is waiting and overhaul. Number 4 is the Rio Grande K28. These were built by the American Locomotive Company in 1923 and were numbers 470, 471, 472, 473, 474, 475, 476, 477, 478. And 479. Almost all of them were sold White Pass Railway between 1941 and 1950, and sadly, almost all of them were scrapped, but luckily 473, 476, and 478 are remaining and running on the Durango and Silverton narrow gauge railway.